Welcome back to the Malaysia Money Matters show.
Yes.
It's December 12th, 2024,
12th.
and we're going to be diving deep into some exciting developments in the Malaysian market.
Absolutely.
That could spell opportunity for you.
Yeah. It seems like every day
Yeah,
brings news of another merger or IPO or strategic partnership.
right.
So let's navigate this dynamic landscape together
Yes.
and uncover where the smart money is heading.
Okay, great. And we've got a stack of reports and analysis to sift through today.
Yes.
So let's jump right in.
Let's do it.
First up, we've got some positive news from the corporate world.
Right. Axiata Group is making a bold move,
Okay.
merging their Indonesian operations with Sinar Mas to create XLSmart,
XLSmart.
a telecom giant poised to grab a 27% market share in Indonesia.
27% market share, that's a huge chunk of the Indonesian telecom pie. What's the strategic thinking behind this merger, and what should investors make of it?
Well, it seems Axiata is playing the long game here. They're not just expanding their reach. They're also using the proceeds from this merger to significantly reduce their debt,
Wow.
signaling confidence in XLSmart's profitability.
Yeah.
For investors, this could be a fantastic opportunity to get in on the ground floor of a potentially dominant player in a rapidly growing market. Keep an eye on XLSmart, listed as XLSmart on the Indonesian Stock Exchange.
Definitely an interesting play for those looking to diversify their portfolio with some international exposure.
Right.
And speaking of new listings, TP Tech Holding just made a splash on the LAP market,
Yes.
imbuing with a 30% premium over their reference price.
Now, for those unfamiliar with the LA part market,
Yeah.
it's designed for up-and-coming SMEs with high growth potential.
Okay.
And TP Tech, specializing in power solutions, particularly for remote and off-grid areas,
Right.
fits that bill perfectly.
Infrastructure development is always a good indicator of economic growth.
Yeah.
But what makes TP Tech particularly appealing for investors?
Well, their focus on bringing power to underserved areas is a smart move. Tapping into the global push for renewable energy and rural electrification. This aligns with some major investment trends, particularly for those seeking companies with strong ESG credentials.
Okay.
TP Tech's strategic positioning in a growing sector makes them worth a closer look,
All right.
especially for investors interested in long-term sustainable growth.
Sounds like they're tapping into multiple powerful trends, which is always a good sign for investors.
Absolutely.
And while we're on the topic of IPOs, let's talk about Sumi Saujana Group,
Yes.
a specialty chemicals company that just got the green light for its IPO on the ACE market.
Yes, and unlike the ELA market, the ACE market is designed for companies of all sizes looking for growth capital.
Okay.
Sumi Saujana's plans are ambitious, to say the least.
Okay.
They're looking to use the IPO proceeds for aggressive expansion,
Wow.
including building new facilities and forming joint ventures in North America and the Middle East.
That's quite a global reach.
Hmm.
What should investors consider when evaluating Sumi Saujana's potential?
While their expansion plans are exciting, investors should do their due diligence, examining Sumi Saujana's financials, market position, and the competitive landscape in their target regions.
Right.
This is a classic high-growth, high-risk scenario, potentially lucrative,
Yeah.
but requiring careful consideration.
So proceed with caution, but don't dismiss the potential.
Precisely. And this brings us to a company that's already making waves in the Malaysian market, MyEG Services.
MyEG.
They've been quietly building up their presence in the Web3 space, and their Zetrix blockchain platform is gaining traction.
No, I have to confess, I haven't been following MyEG's Web3 journey as closely as I should have.
Okay.
What's the latest development that's got everyone buzzing?
They've just partnered with Astron BIF to offer digital ID services for verification outside of China, leveraging Zetrix's capabilities.
So MyEG is going from e-services provider to a key player in the digital identity space.
Yes.
That's quite a transformation. What does this mean for potential investors?
Well, MyEG recently reported strong earnings, partly driven by their Web3 ventures.
Okay.
And this partnership could propel them even further.
Yeah.
For those already holding MyEG shares, this reinforces their position in a rapidly evolving tech landscape. For those who haven't yet considered MyEG, this might be the time to start paying attention, particularly if you're interested in companies at the forefront of Web3 innovation.
MyEG is definitely one to watch. And their recent performance is a reminder that even in a volatile market, there are companies finding innovative ways to thrive. Now let's shift gears a bit and talk about a company that's been a mainstay of the Malaysian market, Astron Malaysia Holdings. They just logged their fourth straight profitable quarter,
It is.
which is impressive given the challenges facing traditional media companies these days.
Astra's success can be attributed to a few key factors.
Okay.
They've managed to capitalize on favorable foreign exchange gains, and they've also been actively fighting content piracy,
Wow.
even securing a landmark legal victory with statutory damages awarded.
Oh.
This demonstrates their commitment to protecting their intellectual property and adapting to the changing media landscape.
That's a smart move, especially as content piracy becomes increasingly sophisticated.
Yeah.
But while they're celebrating profitability, their EBITDA margin did decrease slightly.
Yeah.
What should investors take away from this mixed bag of news?
While the slight dip in EBITDA margin is worth noting, it's important to consider the bigger picture.
Okay.
Astro is actively innovating, combating piracy, and remaining profitable in a tough market.
Right.
For long-term investors, this demonstrates resilience and a willingness to adapt.
Okay.
However, it's crucial to watch their future performance closely,
Yeah.
particularly how they address the evolving media consumption habits and maintain their competitive edge.
It sounds like they're on the right track, but continued vigilance is key.
Absolutely.
So we've covered some exciting company-specific developments, but let's zoom out and look at the overall economic picture.
Yes.
What are the key indicators telling us about the health of the Malaysian economy?
Well, it's a bit of a mixed bag, with some positive signs alongside some areas of concern. On the positive side, Malaysia approved RM to 54.7 billion in investments from January to September of this year,
Wow.
a significant 11% increase.
That's a substantial influx of capital.
Yeah.
Where are these investments primarily directed?
The services sector is attracting the lion's share,
Okay.
followed by manufacturing. This suggests a strong belief in Malaysia's potential as a hub for both innovation and production.
That's certainly a positive sign, but you mentioned some areas of concern.
Yes.
What's causing a wrinkle in this otherwise optimistic outlook?
The consumer sector is experiencing some headwinds. Many companies reported a weak September quarter, with concerns growing about the rising cost of living due to new taxes and subsidy rationalization.
So while businesses are booming, consumers are feeling the pinch.
Yeah.
What are the potential implications of this divergence?
This discrepancy is something investors should pay close attention to. While robust investment is a positive indicator for long-term growth, a struggling consumer market can impact short-term profitability.
It's a classic case of conflicting forces, and it makes portfolio diversification even more crucial. Speaking of investment strategies, what's the expert opinion on navigating this complex economic landscape?
Well, CIMB Securities,
CNB.
a leading financial institution in Malaysia,
Right.
predicts strong consumer earnings in the upcoming quarters,
Okay.
anticipating a boost from festive spending and a potentially stronger ringgit.
Okay.
However, they are recommending a defensive approach,
Uh-huh.
focusing on companies that provide staple goods and those likely to benefit from a stronger currency.
So a cautious optimism is the prevailing sentiment. Which companies fit CIMB's defensive strategy?
They're highlighting companies like Farm Fresh,
Farm Fresh.
a well-known dairy producer,
Okay.
and Mr. DIY,
Mr. DIY.
a popular home improvement retailer. These companies offer products essential to everyday life, making them less susceptible to economic downturns.
Those are solid picks, catering to basic needs that remain consistent even in times of economic uncertainty. Now let's shift our focus to the political arena, as some recent developments have the potential to ripple through the financial markets.
Yes, the passage of the Communications and Multimedia Amendment Bill,
This bill, okay.
despite initial calls for postponement and review, has sparked debate and raised concerns about its potential impact on the business environment.
This bill has been quite controversial. Can you break down the key points of contention and what investors should be watching for?
Well, the primary concern revolves around the bill's potential to restrict freedom of expression and online privacy.
Okay.
While the government maintains its commitment to a balanced approach,
Yeah.
the long-term implications remain unclear.
Uh-huh.
For investors, it's crucial to monitor how this bill is implemented and its impact on digital businesses, media companies, and the overall investment climate.
Uncertainty can be a major deterrent for investors, so clarity on how this bill will be enforced is essential. Another political development worth noting is the situation in Sabah, with Sabah DAP given the authority to review its position in the state government following corruption allegations against senior leaders.
This situation introduces political instability, which often translates into investor hesitancy. The outcome of this review and its impact on Sabah's political landscape will be closely watched by those with interests in the state's economy.
Political stability is a crucial factor for attracting investment, so any potential disruption warrants careful consideration. Now, before we wrap up our Malaysian focus, let's briefly touch on any global developments that could significantly impact the nation's financial outlook.
There are a couple of international events worth mentioning.
Yeah.
First, the U.S. inflation rate has stabilized, fueling predictions of a potential Federal Reserve interest rate cut.
How could a U.S. rate cut impact Malaysia?
A rate cut in the U.S. typically leads to capital flowing into emerging markets like Malaysia as investors seek higher returns in a lower interest rate environment. This could result in increased foreign investment, potentially boosting the Malaysian economy.
That's a potential upside to watch for. Are there any counterbalancing global forces that could offset this potential benefit?
The potential return of Donald Trump to the U.S. presidency is generating uncertainty,
Oh, yeah.
particularly concerning his proposed policies on trade and investment.
Right.
His stance on tariffs and his focus on incentivizing investment within the U.S. could create headwinds for Malaysian businesses and potentially redirect investment flows.
So a potential trade war and increased competition for investment could counterbalance the positive effects of a U.S. rate cut. It's a complex interplay of global forces requiring careful analysis and strategic planning.
Precisely. And this highlights the importance of staying informed and adaptable. The global landscape is constantly shifting, and its impact on the Malaysian market can be profound.
So we've covered a lot of ground today, from promising company news and potential investment opportunities to economic indicators, political developments, and global factors.
Yes.
It's a dynamic landscape full of both challenges and possibilities. What are the key takeaways for our listeners, and how can they use this information to make informed investment decisions?
The Malaysian market is currently characterized by a fascinating interplay of forces. We're seeing growth and innovation, but also economic pressures and political uncertainties. The key takeaway is that a well-diversified portfolio is essential to navigate this complexity.
Diversification is key, spreading risk across different sectors and asset classes. What other advice would you offer to those looking to capitalize on the opportunities while mitigating potential risks?
It's crucial to stay informed not just about individual companies, but also about the broader economic and political landscape, both domestically and globally. Research is your best friend.
So equip yourself with knowledge and use it to make strategic choices.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to adjust your strategy as conditions change. The market rewards those who are adaptable and responsive to evolving circumstances.
Agility is key in a fast-paced environment. Now, before we wrap up this insightful discussion, I want to leave our listeners with a thought-provoking question. We focus primarily on traditional investment approaches, but the world is increasingly embracing sustainable investing with a growing focus on ESG factors, environmental, social, and governance considerations.
Right.
How might this global shift towards sustainability impact Malaysia's financial landscape in the coming years?
That's a crucial question, and one that every investor, especially those interested in Malaysia, should be pondering. Malaysia is well positioned to benefit from this global trend.
Yeah.
With its abundant natural resources and its commitment to sustainable development, Malaysia has the potential to become a leader in green technologies and ESG-focused investments.
So this shift towards sustainability isn't just about doing good, it's also about recognizing a significant economic opportunity.
Absolutely. We're already seeing a growing interest in green bonds and sustainable infrastructure projects in Malaysia.
Okay.
As global capital increasingly seeks out ESG-compliant investments,
Yeah.
Malaysia stands to attract a significant influx of funds.
That could be a game changer for the Malaysian economy. It seems like aligning investment strategies with sustainability is no longer just an ethical consideration. It's becoming a smart financial move.
Precisely. For investors, it's about recognizing that the companies and projects that prioritize sustainability are often the ones best positioned for long-term success in a world grappling with climate change and resource scarcity.
It's about future-proofing your portfolio, recognizing that sustainability is no longer a niche concern, but a fundamental driver of value.
Exactly. And for Malaysia, this presents a fantastic opportunity to attract responsible investment, foster innovation in green technologies, and build a more resilient and sustainable economy.
It's a win-win situation, benefiting both investors and the planet. So as we wrap up today's deep dive into the Malaysian market, I want to encourage our listeners to keep exploring, to stay curious, and to embrace the evolving landscape of investment.
It's been a pleasure unpacking these complex yet fascinating developments with you.
And remember, knowledge is power. The more you understand about the forces shaping the market, the better equipped you'll be to make informed decisions that align with your financial goals and your values.
Don't be afraid to dive deeper, challenge assumptions, and seek out new perspectives.
And most importantly, remember that investing is a journey, not a destination. Enjoy the process of learning, adapting, and growing your wealth wisely.
Until next time, happy investing.
Thanks for joining us on the Malaysia Money Matters show. We'll see you next time for another deep dive into the world of Malaysian finance. Hey there, thanks for tuning in. If you would like a deeper dive into all the investment opportunities from today's news, subscribe to my newsletter at moneymatters.substack.com. I will be sharing a deeper analysis of the key investment opportunities from today's news, including what makes these opportunities stand out and how they fit into the broader market trends. By subscribing to the Malaysia Money Matters newsletter, you will also get exclusive insights on my watch list and portfolio and fundamental reports on Malaysian listed companies.